Hey, Enneagram friend. This is Abby Rodriguez, your certified and IEA accredited Enneagram teacher and coach. And today we are talking all about stress. So in this next series, we're going to look at the stress response for each of the 9 types. And there was an initial introduction episode to this series. So if you haven't listened to that yet, go back and listen to that first and then come back to this number. The audio for these episodes is taken from the Growth and Self-Care Workshop audio that's available for purchase for only $20 on my website if you want to learn more. This episode is all about the stress response for type 4. So for 4s, when they experience stress, just like the rest of us, they first exhibit some unhelpful tendencies in their own type structure. It's almost like the gifts of the type become excessive and imbalanced, so those tendencies become unhelpful. When 4s experience stress and they kind of dip down into the lower levels of their number, they become overly complex or overly unique, overly specific about their situation. And it's almost in this effort to differentiate themselves from others and to make sure that they are not being misidentified or mistaken as being something different than who they are or what they feel or how they wanted to present themselves. They also in this space become overly withdrawn, overly introspective. Maybe that shows up as being moody or kind of even capricious, but more with the sense of shifting from feeling to feeling, but it's because they become absorbed with how they are feeling and what's true in their experience. In this stress space, they also are more rigid. They're kind of unwilling to meet others in the middle or compromise on what feels true for their experience or what their opinion is of how they should go or what they want to happen. And that can really result in them having rifts in relationships with others or kind of separating themselves from others because then they feel like they don't belong in the group or the group won't include them because they don't belong, or even just this feeling of being misunderstood. If the 4 experiences so much stress, though, that they move to their stress number, or even just certain types of stress, type 4s will naturally take on the characteristics of type 2 in stress. And so if they are not cognizant of this move and kind of get pushed across the diagram, Type 4s will naturally move to the low side of type 2. On the low side of type 2, the 4 becomes jealous. They kind of become overly focused on keeping others in relationship with them. There might be a specific person they become overly attached to. So maybe it's a friend or a significant other or a parent, becoming specifically attached to another. And it's really to reinforce this feeling of worth or even just to have assurance in relationship. Sometimes in that space, the 4, again, not even aware of the fact that they're fully doing this, but they might incite kind of a reaction from others, an emotional scene or make a snide comment about others' commitment to them or feelings about them. And it's really to get a sense of how others will respond and if the other is going to stay with them or if they're going to abandon them. If the 4, though, realizes that they're stressed, they can instead pause, and rather than reacting and moving to the low side of type 2, they can move to the high side of type 2 as a resource for them with the gifts that type 2 offers. So on the high side of type 2, the 4 can access that energy to kind of get out of their introspective space, their emotions and feelings, and reach out to others. It's going from a keen awareness of feelings, but it not being their own feelings, it being others' feelings and what might be going on for others and how they can connect to others and how they can support and care for and cheer on those that are around them. It's reaching out to others so that they don't get stuck in themselves. That type 2 energy can also help them to focus outward on others so that they are not trying to sort through all of their feelings. Even just the simple version of helping others solving their problems so that they're not so focused on sorting out and making meaning of all their feelings around what's going on. Once you can kind of step away and focus on others for a while, they can have a more balanced lens on what's going on in their own experience, and they might not have such high or low feelings around whatever the situation is, to be able to approach it with more balance and more awareness of what could be done in the situation, rather than kind of getting lost into the oblivion of feelings. So again, just a reminder to be kind to yourself, to be compassionate about your experience. It's not about beating yourself up for some of the unhelpful behaviors that you notice, but rather the intention of bringing some awareness around this pattern, and also so that you can give yourself some support. Some of these unhelpful behaviors that we're talking about, they're related to stress. And so rather than beating ourselves up that we're stressed, the invitation is, could we be instead kind to ourselves and noticing, yeah, this isn't a great behavior. I'm just stressed though. And so can we instead provide some support and care for ourselves rather than beating ourselves up about whatever reaction we had? And so taking a moment to pause, to breathe, to check in with your felt sense in that moment. Can you feel your nervous system dysregulated? Can you feel knots in your stomach, or maybe there's a heat in your felt sense or a tightness in your chest? What's happening in your felt sense? And pausing and noticing what's happening so that you can choose how you want to move forward rather than getting caught up in the reactivity of it. And really an invitation to name what you need. As you observe some of these pieces that are happening for you, what is it that you need if you're stressed? Is there a stressor that you can mitigate or remove? Is there some type of support you can add in to balance the triggering aspect of that stressor? Or maybe is there, a need that's not being met, a boundary that you need to put in place, or maybe just an area that you need support. So giving yourself some compassion, because the reality is you're just stressed. That's why these things are happening. Hey friends, the audio for these episodes is taken from the Growth and Self-Care Workshop audio that's available for purchase for only $20 on my website if you want to learn more. The teaching audio is over 4 hours of Enneagram content where I walk you through type-specific stressors and the natural stress response for each type, and how we can better manage stress and how we can incorporate practices for self-care based on our type into our everyday life. The teaching audio is a digital download, so you can listen to it on your phone or your computer, and it also comes with a digital workbook. So I really want to encourage you to take advantage of that opportunity, or to give it to a friend in this season if you have someone that's coming to mind that has a lot of stress and needs some support to navigate that.